Treehouse of Horror 24 for the greatest show ever made, The Simpsons. This is my little review slash thoughts. So this year's Treehouse of Horror was um, somewhat really good and somewhat really bad. This year's Treehouse of Horror was actually directed by Guillermo del Toro. He did he's a Spanish director that did a horror film, I believe. No, he did Pan's Labyrinth. I'm sorry, and I believe he did the intro for the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror this year. I don't know if he did the entire episode, but I know he did the intro, and that was probably the best part of the episode and one of the better intros for the Halloween specials in years. There is tons and tons of references, and I tried to count all of them as I was watching it, but I really couldn't get them all. But just to list off a few that had me in my brain. The first thing I saw was a zombie apocalypse. That was not really a reference, but I thought of like The Walking Dead. There was a reference to Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds, The Shining, Hellboy, Blade, Phantom of the Opera, Frankenstein, Wolfman, Mummy, a lot of the older Halloween films, which I thought was really cool to reference. The Phantom of the Opera. They even referenced the old Simpsons from the Tracy Ullman shorts, where it was like the old traditional animation that they used prior to the very first season, and that was really interesting. Just a quick little um, reference. So let's jump into the first short of the Treehouse of Horror, because every Treehouse of Horror is split into three individual stories. The first one is um, Oh, the Palace You'll Do, I believe was the name, or yeah, Oh, the Places You'll Do, and it was a parody of The Cat in the Hat, the old Dr. Seuss book and film, and I believe also Jim Carrey film, or I'm not sure. It was surprisingly a little dark. It had Bart, Maggie, and Lisa at home with the mumps in this very interestingly drawn animation. The entire episode was a parody of a Dr. Seuss book or film, so it had that really cartoony look and not the general Simpsons animation we always see. And it just followed Homer portraying himself as the Cat in the Hat, and scooping up the kids and taking them on a wild ride throughout the town. And it was surprisingly dark. They went to Moe's. He killed and skinned Moe. They did a bunch of other crazy stuff. He killed Patty and Selma, and just a lot of weird and dark humor, but it still worked out. I thought it had its moments. It was all right. The second story was actually the weakest and I think the least interesting of the episode. It was Dead and Shoulders. Bart gets his head chopped off because he is flying a kite and he ties the string around his neck, and a I think helicopter gets stuck on the kite and pulls the string, and it cuts his neck off, which is really unrealistic. But what do you expect? And he has his head sewn on to Lisa's body. And throughout the episode, or the individual story, it's just Bart, bickering with Lisa and trying to find a way to, you know, get away, get his head off her body. And by the end of the episode, Lisa and Bart end up getting their heads chopped off and sewn on to Krusty and I believe Selma. And it wasn't a very good episode or a good individual story. It had a few moments with Homer, but it was primarily on Bart and Lisa. It wasn't that good, sadly. And the last one was, I guess, the most Halloween themed episode where it was called Freaks No Geeks, and it was set in the 1930s. It had a very sepia look and tone that they've done before on older episodes, and it just showed the Simpsons family as freaks in a 1930s circus slash freak show. And the funniest, I guess, section or part of the that individual story was Burns is the head, head boss of this circus, and he brings out the most horrific man you've ever seen, and it's just Moe sitting in a chair. And I was like, God, that's very sad, but so fitting and hilarious. And it just followed Moe, in he wants a relationship with Marge, in this, in this parallel universe where they're freaks. And Homer's this strong man that wants to steal his emerald ring, and he puts up Marge to marry her in this fake marriage, and it wasn't very good. It was like it didn't even feature Bart and Lisa that much or Maggie. It was just Moe, um, Marge, and Homer, and it had Burns and a few other notable appearances like Lenny and Carl as these weird looking like toothless guys. But overall, the episode, it wasn't very good. Sadly, it's kind of expected with these newer Simpsons episodes. But the opening couch gag was really good, and I guess there's a reason why they posted it up on YouTube a few days before the actual episode aired. So thanks for listening, guys, and I'll catch you all soon.